Two.
Ladies and gentlemen, get on your feet for the next mayor of Sioux, Jolene Loetscher!
Well, I do have to thank my husband for, I know when he asked me out to that movie, he had no idea he would also be the future first man of Sioux Falls. And I want to thank all of you for welcoming me here today, and it is truly an honor to be speaking at McGovern Day. I would like to thank the South Dakota Democratic Party for inviting me. I would like to thank Lee, who has provided me with so much advice and guidance these last few months. And I would like to thank all of my volunteers and supporters for your dedication. We've just got 3 days to go. And I know these local elections are supposed to be nonpartisan. That's what the ballot says. But I suppose when the state GOP sends out postcards in support of the other name on the ballot, cat's out of the bag. And you know my political affiliation. It also means that when those postcards go out and those attacks come, you're probably doing something right too. A little over 8 months ago, I was the last candidate to declare their intentions to run for mayor in an already crowded field. I had never run for political office before, and frankly, didn't think I ever would, even just a few months prior to that. But I was inspired. I was inspired by the day my daughter Liberty was born. My motivation was to improve my community, to create a better future for my daughter, and hopefully represent Sioux Falls, a city that has provided me so many opportunities. Now, I don't think my motivation is all that unique to the many candidates running for office in this room tonight, whether you are an incumbent or this is your first race. And when I thought about the speech that I would give tonight, I became curious about what George McGovern himself thought about motivation. What higher purpose comes to public servants who answer that call? And he said, a public figure today can perform no greater service than to lay bare the proven malfunctions of our society, try honestly to confront our problems in all of their complexity, and to stimulate the search for solutions. To me, that sentiment perfectly encapsulates the last 8.5 months of this campaign. And you know what? I think we are doing it the right way, the McGovern way. Hosting numerous public listening sessions, knocking on thousands of doors, and proposing detailed solutions aimed at the future, like precinct-focused policing. Now, I do want to make one thing very clear, that whatever you may think of the tone of the last week, I am proud of my campaign, and I am proud of what we have accomplished. We were out fundraised 4-1, and we are running a campaign based on transparency, based on well-thought-out and well-established proposals, and we have never shied away from embracing diversity. We have never shied away from viewing problems as complex, even when the easier thing to do when all you want is someone's vote is to see something as black and white and ignore the gray that lies in between. And we are marching with women, and we are doing all of this. Sometimes we joke, a ragtag team, because when we first started, none of us had run for office before or even been part of a campaign. We did this all without taking donations from 6-year-olds, without a dedicated army of propagandists who create whisper campaigns about what is truth and what isn't. Because really, when it comes down to it, the best thing to silence a Twitter troll is the chorus of the truth itself. And we are doing all of this despite a clickbait media environment where organizations that preach context organizations that report without any nuance. And yes, we'll put it out there. We are doing it without leaving any sort of voicemail on someone else's phone. And we are doing it without insinuating we had dirt on anyone else, because that is how you run a clean campaign. And this is the thing I think my opponents and this city have probably learned most about me in these last 8.5 months, is that I do not back down, and I will always stand strong. And in those rare instances where we have disagreed with another campaign, we have always handled it out in the public's eye, because that is how true transparency works. And trust me, if anyone has learned the hard way that power does not like to be challenged, I stand here before you as 4 foot and 11.5 inches of power challenging truth. It may have seemed harsh and maybe not politically astute, but when we needed to have those hard conversations, we have never been afraid to be upfront, and we have never been afraid of the moment. Because I am not a victim, I will always be a fighter. And if you elect me as your next mayor of Sioux Falls, I am going to fight for all of you too. I am going to fight for a city that makes its decisions transparently. I am going to fight for a city that champions diversity. And when people say, you say LGBTQ too much, it makes us uncomfortable, I will say it again. I am going to fight for a model of policing that builds communities rather than spends more money locking up its citizens. And I am going to fight for our children. I've done that for more than 6 years. We have built a task force that has trained 10,000 responders to recognize the signs of child abuse, created community centers to provide better access to care for victims, and I have been able to lend my voice, talk about the worst moment of my life, to know that we have fought and been able to eliminate the statute of limitations that have prevented victims from becoming survivors and getting the justice they deserve. So those are the things that I have been fighting for my entire life. Not things I waited to fight for until I thought I would run for mayor. Those are the fights that were instilled in me by my family, my faith, and the calling to be a public servant. And I'm not going to stop fighting now. But I need you to fight with me too. So, in the next 3 days, if you have a few hours, my ask of you is to knock on some doors, make some phone calls, gather your neighbors, because that is what it is going to take for us to win this election on Tuesday, and prove that change in Sioux Falls will be felt all across this state on May 1st. And so, when we say, let's go, we know we have 3 days to bring on the fight that I know we all have in us. So let's go, South Dakota.